All right, welcome in. Cube Show Podcast, college football podcast comes to you weekly. Thrown off a little bit this week because we went live for the first time at SEC Media Days. Hope you got to catch some of that with Jacob Hester. Matt Flynn hopped in as well right there on not Radio Row, but Digital Drive now, which is a little bit odd. Threw me off and took me a while to get used to that. But we are back in studio now. Glad to be with you and want to talk about something from SEC Media Days. A little bit of a carryover, but a little bit of a different direction here. We've been doing our top 5 position groups. A lot of people discussed that at Media Days, had a lot to say about it. A lot of you enjoy it. Great. This is not going to be a top, say, 5, 10 list, but it is going to be a list today of players that you obviously need to know. Some of you have been listening to the show and you know these players. Some of you are just college football experts and already do anyway, and you've done your due diligence, and that's great. We're going to talk a little bit more about a couple of guys that through 4 days of SEC Media Days in Atlanta, I was continuously taken aback at people asking the questions, people discussing teams, and people throwing around names that did not include these individuals that need to be named. So we're going to get to that in just a moment. First, you guys know we're brought to you by Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious. We always have them around. New products out now. Go to wicklespickles.com. Check out what they have. A little bit more spice, a little bit different size there. You're going to be able to pick those up. Wickles Pickles, wickedly delicious. Go to the Instagram. Check out what they do there. They got the gear you can purchase. If it's pickleball gear, if it's an apron, if it's a hat, whatever that is. Wickles Pickles. Take care of them because they take care of us. Let's get right into it here. All right, you guys have heard me talk about Jaden Ball, Florida running back. Number 1, that's going to be who we go to on this list. You need to know who Jaden Ball is. Now, if this wasn't a bit of a split backfield, I'd probably sit there and tell you he'd run for 1,900 yards this year. Going to not be maybe the number 1 ball carrier all the time for the Florida Gators, and that's great. I have no problem with that, but this young man is 6'1", 235 pounds, has wiggle, can give you the spin move, can jump over you, can run past you, and obviously can run over you. I don't know just athletically how many running backs at his size there are in the league that can do the things that he can. Keep in mind, this is an offense based around the stretch play. Billy wants to be ground and pound first because that's what opens everything up for the quarterback. So even though they might throw the ball more times than they run the ball in a game, that ground game is going to establish who the offense is and how they build around it. But that's got to go first. And this young man can make it go. He's got a good feel for that stretch play, good feel for inside zone, can get to the perimeter, 1 foot cut in the ground, get north and south on people. You need to know who Jaden Ball is because I promise you this man's going to be productive. If you're playing Florida, good chance he's going to put up some yards. So pay attention to Jaden Ball, Florida running back this year, because there were some folks last week in Atlanta that weren't quite sure what he's going to be capable of this season. Number 2 on the list. And the fact that we were in Atlanta, by the way, Jaden Ball last year, 133 carries, 673 yards, 7 touchdowns, 5.1 per carry, and nobody talking about him. Just saying. All right, being in Atlanta last week, you would have thought that would have been about half the battle for this next young man, specifically with where he's transferring to and how he was ranked out of the portal. There were multiple people who cover college football in the state that I reside, Alabama, that when I brought up Eric Singleton, they didn't know who he was. Eric Singleton in his career has 104 catches, 1,468 yards, 9 touchdown receptions. He's run the ball 22 times, 140 yards, and another touchdown. That's in 2 years at Georgia Tech. This is a young man you can put in the slot. You can put him in the backfield, quick throws, high percentage throws, turn him into explosive plays, good enough route runner to beat you down the field, knows how to attack the football in the air down the field. He's dynamic. He's a playmaker from anywhere on the field. Hugh Free's going to move him, going to feed him the football, going to find ways to get him matched up on guys that he thinks are favorable, and they'll take shot plays to him down the field. It's a shot play offense that he's in. So Cam Coleman will get some on the outside, but Eric Singleton's going to get some himself. And he'll get some of the high percentage stuff, some of the extension of the run game as well, if teams want to try and load the box and try to take the run away from both quarterback or whoever's in at running back against what I think is going to be a pretty good offensive line. He got a lot of things going his way right now inside that Auburn offense. It appears as though they're going to allow him to get some of those matchups and get some of those shot plays down the field. And this is a guy that can take advantage of them. This is a guy that can receive the football 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage or 52 yards down the field and make you pay. Bottom line, there's a couple of guys that are going to be in a very similar category to what Eric Singleton is that we're talking about today that you need to know. And some people didn't know in Atlanta last week, so we're putting you on notice. For Eric Singleton, Georgia Tech wide receiver transferring to Auburn, You're going to want to know who he is. All right, don't forget about Game Day Men's Health, guys. If you are lacking energy, if you're feeling on edge, if you're not getting sleep, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you. Here's how they can do it. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. You go sign up for the free consultation. You go in, free PSA test, free testosterone test, and right there, you're going to get your baseline health. They're going to tell you where you are, why you're feeling the way that you are. Maybe you just need to drop some pounds. They have multiple weight loss programs at Game Day Men's Health that can help you. And the peptides are now in stock at Game Day Men's Health, which means they're going to be able to mix different concoctions of something your body no longer makes to be able to help you feel better. If it's arthritis, if it's lack of sleep, if it's anti-aging, all those things, the peptides are in stock and they're going to be able to help you with at Game Day Men's Health. It is easy and it starts out free. You get the free consultation, the free PSA test, the free testosterone test. You go in there right now, knock all that out, find out where you are at Game Day Men's Health and see what they can do for you. And tell them you heard about them right here on Cube Show. And number 3 is going to be a guy in that category again, Dion Burks. Dion Burks is every bit as dynamic as Eric Singleton. He might actually have a little bit more like instant burst, maybe just a smidge more change of direction, but might not be the polished receiver that Singleton is down the field. But Dion Burks is somebody that you can give him a jet sweep, you can throw him a slant, and it can be a house call at any moment. A little bit smaller in stature, but guy's not afraid of physicality, usually doesn't shy away from contact if he's trying to work the middle of the field. Now, he's been dinged up. We know this. That's why you haven't heard of him from last season. But Dion Burks, a guy, 94 catches, 1,049 yards, 10 receiving touchdowns in his career. Also has 12 carries, 51 yards on his career. He can get the ball anywhere, and he can score from anywhere. So you're going to want to know who Dion Burks is in an offense. And John Mateer is going to be able to move him, going to use some tempo at times. He'll find ways to feed him the football. And this is the one that I would keep my eyes open for the most. Scramble drill with Dion Burks. When John Mateer leaves the pocket and moves and manipulates the pocket, which he does well, Dion Burks, somebody's going to be able to get behind the defense in a hurry. And Mateer not afraid to put that ball out there and allow him to go attack it and go get it. So, folks, if you didn't know who Dion Burks was yet, now you know, and there are no more excuses moving forward. Oklahoma wide receiver Dion Burks transferred in from Purdue, beat up a little bit last year. When you go to the water cooler, which I don't know, does anybody go to the water cooler anymore? Now you'll know Dion Burks. Let's stay in the same category so we can just kind of wrap that up of guys that are essentially not the same, but very similar players that you're going to need to know. And the next one, this is one that, I mean, I heard a couple of people say Eric Singleton. I may have heard one say Dion Burks, but KC or Kevin Concepcion, nobody other than Greg McElroy. And that would be it. And he's been talking about him for months. KC Concepcion can line up at almost any wide receiver position. He can get the ball in the intermediate game, high percentage game. He can take it to the house. This kid has 124 career receptions for basically 1,300 yards, 16 receiving touchdowns, 10.5 yards per reception. He's got 60 carries for 356 yards in his career. He's a dynamo, man. Like, this kid will work the middle of the field. He'll hurt you on the outside, one-on-ones down the field. He can take the ball near around the line of scrimmage and make you pay that way. He's elusive in the open field, and he can run away from DBs. I don't know what else you want. By the way, very good wide receiver. Soft hands, attacks the football, knows how to cradle it, bring it in, and be ready for contact. So KC Concepcion, Dion Burks, Eric Singleton, very similar molds, not the exact same, but for wide receiver from NC State coming in Texas A&M, you're going to need to know who he is. You're going to know who those three are from Auburn, Oklahoma, and A&M right now. And there's not a lot of buzz, not a lot of conversation about those guys while we are at SEC Media Days. So let's stay on the offensive side of the ball, and we'll go to running back Cedric Alexander at Vanderbilt. Now, the numbers are not going to be as favorable for Cedric Alexander, but when you watch 28 on film, one thing that you always see is he is going to finish a run with his legs churning and his head's going to be down and his shoulders are going to be square, trying to get north and south. That's who he is. That's what he is. He is explosive, but he's not afraid to put his head and grind out, a yard or two. So you go look at those numbers, and 260 carries, 957 yards, 10 touchdowns. Not bad. 41 receptions, 371 yards, a touchdown. But he's under 4 yards a carry. And that takes me to something that we talked to Clark Lee about at SEC Media Days. And he says one of our off-season emphasis, one of our off-season studies was yards before contact. And how can we get better at that? Well, I can promise you he wasn't saying that for Diego Pavia. They were saying that for Cedric Alexander. A lot of folks are going to be keying on Pavia, trying to take him away from the run game, maybe widening the defense out just a little bit at the line of scrimmage. putting more guys in the alley, trying to defend that. And Cedric Alexander getting north and south, or if the defense squeezes a little bit on the perimeter, can make you pay. He catches the football really well out of the backfield. I think he can hurt people there. And I think he's going to have an emphasis point on his game inside this Vanderbilt offense this year. People are going to understand massive mismatch at tight end, quarterback that can hurt you with his legs, either scrambling on the move or by design. But if they can find a way to use some of those other pieces to get this young man the football, specifically downhill, defenses are going to pay. You put him on a lot of other teams in the league, he's your number one running back. I promise you. I'm not going to say everyone, but most teams in the league, this is your number one running back. Folks just haven't been able to see him go off. He has 20 or more carries in a game once in his career. And I think they're going to feed him, and I think they're going to make him the focal point multiple times this season. Doesn't have to be all year. It could just be a couple of times. But I promise you, your team's seeing Vanderbilt, you're going to want to know who Cedric Alexander is. He runs about 50 pounds heavier than he is, but he's got a burst, and he can get north and south, and he can run past you, but just runs hard. Legs don't stop. Love the motor. Love the intensity that this young man carries the football with. But Cedric Alexander Vandy, you're going to need to know who he is, and wasn't a lot of chatter about this young man at media days. Guys, quickly, don't forget about my friends at Roback. There it is. They have kids close in now at Roback as well. Go check them out, roback.com, and use promo code COLE20 to save 20% on your order right there at Roback. It's hot. You still want some of the summer gear, the T-shirts. They got the new polos in, but weather's cooling off around fall. They got all the school teams in now. Load up on your favorite SEC team at roback.com. Promo code COLE20 and save yourself 20%. All right, we'll finish up offense, and then we'll go to 2 on defense that we've got for you. Brett Norfle, tight end, Missouri. You've heard, if you listen to the show, you know him. Okay. Once again, the stats are not going to be massive. They're not going to be huge. You're not talking about a guy that's going to go out there and put up, 100 catches in a season, whatnot. It's not really exactly who he is. He does have 44 catches, 432 yards, and 5 touchdowns in his career. But where he stands apart is when he is asked to help in the run game, because this kid can block. Pass pro, he'll help you out as well, but he is a grinder. He'll put his face mask inside your chest, and he'll try to push you around a little bit. He does not back down from any SEC defender. Doesn't get pushed around a lot. Not a liability in the blocking game when he lines up in line in some of the stretch zone or different, power plays, counter plays that they're going to run inside that offense. But this young man gets after it. He knows how to shoot his hand, knows how to run his feet, and operates not as a guy that's like 255, more as a guy that's like 305. That's how the intensity level that he brings to the game. I don't think he cares if he gets a single target in the entire game. It's just not what he's about. Now, he can also hurt you down the middle of the field. He's got great length, big, tall kid, had a chance to be a pitcher in baseball. Soft hands, solid hands, reliable hands. But where he stands out is his intensity level, his finish, his attacking when he's asked to block. That's where he's different than a lot of guys. I think he's the best blocking tight end in the Southeastern Conference, and I'll probably put him up against any other blocking tight end in college football. I had that much respect for his game in that specific part of it to allow Brett Norfle to be on this list. And because he's not Brock Bowers, elusive, running around, catching 80 balls, a lot of people don't know who he is. I didn't hear people talking about it at media days. So Brett Norfle, tight end, Missouri, is another one that you need to know about. Last one on offense. I do think more people know this young man, and maybe more people know him where I live because I do radio in Alabama every morning, 5 days a week. And I'm just around more people that pay attention to Alabama football. But Parker Braillesford's a guy you need to know. Now, this is a really deep center year in the SEC. If you go to Jake Slaughter at Florida, Connor Tollison at Missouri, you can go to Connor Lew at Auburn. But Parker Braillesford's the guy you also need to know. He probably is a notch ahead of all of those guys. Now, is he a little smaller in stature? Yes. So are some other guys going to be ahead of him in the draft prospectus or the mock drafts? Sure, fine. You can have that. If you're talking about a ball player right now, this is that guy. The intensity level changed last year playing next to Tyler Booker. Like Booker taught him how to be a little bit more nasty. Like he brought a little more edge. And we actually asked Kalen DeBoer about it at media days. And he said, I don't think there's any doubt. He said, everybody fed off Book, but Braillesford is the one whose game significantly changed. Listen, I was on the Joe Moore Award committee. Still am. But saw him operate in that Washington offensive line that won it. He's a great player. But he didn't do some of the things that he was doing last year. Now he does those things. You talk to David Ballou, Alabama strength coach, and he'll tell you one of the strongest, probably the strongest player pound for pound on the Alabama roster. So the dude's getting it done in the weight room as well. So he's bright. He's a great teammate. He's a dude that's always on the practice field. He's getting after people's asses when he's asked to block them. He's got great quickness to be able to reach like a shade nose or a one technique. And he's got now the power and the tenacity to be able to get after people in very different ways. So if I had to take one, and like I said, really good center class in the SEC this year, Parker Braillesford's going to be my guy right now. Somebody else is going to have to take it from him. And also, y'all need to know who he is. I understand most people don't talk about offensive linemen. It's whatever. It's fine. But this is a guy you need to know because you're going to have a new starting quarterback and an offense I think is going to have a little more emphasis on the ground game this year, and he could be a big part of it. So Alabama makes a big leap, or all of a sudden in the playoff picture, and some people didn't think that was going to happen, or maybe undefeated in November, look in the middle of that offensive line. That might be a big reason why, and you're going to need to know his name. All right, let's go to the defensive side of the football. I got a phone call about this one today. Some folks may be not happy about who I picked as my SEC Defensive Player of the Year this season. He's in Athens, Georgia. It's just not the guy that you normally would talk about in Athens, Georgia, because it's Elo Mosozi, which I thought it was Elo. I was pronouncing it incorrectly, apparently. Elo Mosozi. This is a guy that in his career has 43 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, also returned a punt for touchdown in 2023, but has some of the best just bend and flexibility off the edge that I've seen the last couple of years in college football. Now, Dylan Stewart's got it too, but like Dylan Stewart's is a different guy. I think when you take everything that's going to be around Mosozi in that Georgia defense and you bring his twitch, his speed, his get off, his flexibility, put his motor there, the way he plays, if he's 8 to 12 pounds heavier than he was last year, watch the F out is all I'm saying. Because this kid's explosive. He's twitchy. He's fast. He's got great understanding of pass rush moves, counter moves, setup moves, which Dylan Stewart does as well. I feel like everybody knows Dylan Stewart, who he is and what he is. And he'll probably face a lot of double and triple teams this year, and his teammates will benefit from that. Brian Thomas and those guys will probably benefit from that. But this Mosozi kid is one you need to know. Transfer from Army to the Georgia defense that is absolutely going to be ripping off the edge. I don't think physically they have another guy like him. And think about that when we're talking about Georgia's defense, the athletes, the talent, the 5 stars that they have all over the place, the way this young man moves, changes direction, twitch, bends, uses his arms, the length he has with all that speed. I just don't think Georgia has another guy like this. They got some great guys. They got some good guys. I love Gabe Harris. I love some of the other guys up front. This dude's different. I'm just telling you. And could Raylan Wilson end up being the guy in that defense and take it all and be Defensive Player of the Year? Sure. KJ Bolden? Sure. Could. There's something about this dude and the way he plays and the way he moves that right now I'm going there. That's just where I'm going to go. But Elo Mosozi, outside linebacker transfer from Army, is one that you need to know heading into this season that not a lot of people talking about last week at SEC Media Days. Finally, on the defensive side of the ball, back to Como, Columbia, Missouri. Marvin Burks Jr., safety for Missouri. Didn't hear his name outside of maybe my radio table talking about him or asking Eli Drinkwitz about him. 82 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, an interception, and a sack. And will absolutely try to take your head off. Not saying he's a dirty player, not saying he does things that are illegal, nothing like that. Just the dude is going to take every pound that he owns inside his human body, and he's going to try to inflict harm on you with it. I don't care if Big John Stud's carrying the football, Andre the Giant's carrying the football, Craig Ironhead Hayward's carrying the football, Jerome Bettis carrying the football. This dude's going to try to take you out. Doesn't matter. Ben Coates catching the football down the seam. He's going to try to take you out. He will put his body on the line to do it. Is he the best safety in coverage? Nah, it's all right. I know in run support, this the guy that I want because he's going to come up and try to hurt you. And he is not afraid of contact. He's not going to shy away from it. So Marvin Burks Jr., safety, Missouri. I feel like in general, a lot of safeties, you're either like safety, you're either super high profile safety, like you're Minka Fitzpatrick, or you kind of like nobody talks about you. Like Nick Emanwari last year, I feel like had a little discussion, but probably not anywhere near what he deserved. Like safety is kind of a forgotten position a lot of times. You're either getting burnt or you're blowing people up. And then all the in between, like nobody ever mentions their name really. So there we go. players from SEC Media Days that didn't get the talk that I feel like you need to know. And if you already knew them, good, great. If you listen to this show, you probably already knew them. Jaden Ball, running back, Florida. Eric Singleton, receiver, Auburn. Dion Burks, receiver, Auburn. Elo Mosozi, edge, Georgia. Cedric Alexander, running back, Vanderbilt. Marvin Burks, safety, Missouri. Brett Norfle, tight end, Missouri. Parker Braillesford, center, Alabama. And KC Kevin Concepcion, receiver, Texas A&M. So there you go. There it is. Thanks for hanging out with us. We're getting close to kickoff. All right, guys, you've heard me tell you about pizza pulls. If you're looking to get back into the hobby, Topps Chrome Baseball is coming out this week. You got instant rips right now on the Pizza Pulls app. You can go check that out right there. Bam, instant rips. We're going to have that going on Tuesday morning. If you want to get in and get that one card digital rip to be able to pull something huge. We sold like 30 something of these last week. I think Friday we had some monster hit. 2 Kobe rookies, 1 PSA 10 Kobe rookie autograph. We pulled some monsters out of there, like a 1-of-1 Moses Malone we pulled out of there. I mean, it was some cool stuff. Insta Rips is cool. Insta Rips is great. But go to Fanatics Live, go to Whatnot, and go to Pizza Pulls, and you're going to find me on there Tuesdays ripping cards. It's always a blast, always fun. Football, baseball, basketball, we can get in all that. We got the Insta Rips as well. You can pull a massive card with these Insta Rips at Pizza Pulls. So go to pizzapulls.com, see what they're all about. Download that Fanatics app. Go to Pizza Pulls on Tuesday mornings. I'll be there hanging out, breaking cards. Listen, these boxes of cards are $700, $1,200. You can't pay for that. You can't afford it. I'm with you. I understand. You get into a card break. You want to go chase one guy from your team. You pick the Vikings or you pick the Celtics. Maybe you pay $15. You pay $30. You get in. You got a chance to pull some heat just with your team and what you want right then, right there. Pizza Pulls. Go check them out now. So top fives are done. We're diving into the season. We're previewing different things about all these teams and about their schedules. That's going to be coming up over the next few weeks. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Don't forget to subscribe and maybe go check out the Tuesday Date Night podcast that I started with my wife a couple weeks ago. We're 2 episodes into that. You can find that on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe to that one there. We'll be back next week.